going to come from George Radney.
Okay. Hi, George.
George, are you there?
Oh, sorry, I had to unmute myself. Sorry about that. George Radney, Challenger Community News. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
Oh, great, Coach. Glad to get a chance to speak with you. What are your plans when you go up a high-powered, an explosive punt return team like the Kansas City team? How do you plan to go up against a team like that?
Well, the biggest thing I think is you have to execute your plan, your own personal plan. I think you get yourself in trouble when you start trying to do things that you haven't done all year long. So I think the answer to that is stick with your plan and execute your plan.
Okay, our next question will be from Adam Kilgore.
Hello, Keith. Can you hear me?
Hey. Yep.
All right, thanks a lot. I'm wondering, as someone who's been in the game as a player and as a coach for as long as you have, what do you think the significance of a coaching staff as diverse as yours is for young coaches and young players who aspire to be coaches in the NFL to see you all in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think that's huge because you have an example of what it takes, and it's demonstrated before you. When I was playing as a young guy in college, there were only 2 black coaches on each staff. You'd have one on offense and one on defense. And if you weren't if you didn't play for that specific position coach, you really weren't around him much. Whereas we've got a lot of diversity here. The guys, with their good relationships. But I think as a young coach and a young player, you have somebody to look up to, and you have somebody that you can go talk to, and somebody that you talk to about the same. We all have the same issues. So I think that's a big part of it.
Okay, we're going to go over to Matt Baker.
Hey, Keith, obviously you go back quite a ways with Bruce Arians. I'm curious, what about him is the same or different from when you knew him at Temple?
He's full of fire. He was when I played for him, and he still is now. But he's honest with you, and that's the thing you appreciate about him. He's straight up and he's honest with you, and that's all you really ask for as a player or a coach. Now, you may not like what he says, but he's honest with you. And I think you respect him for that. But that's what's remained the same over the years. Obviously, when we were playing ball back then, it was more of a run offense. It's now changed to a passing offense and stuff like that. But in terms of him and his personality, nothing's really changed. You appreciate his honesty and his loyalty.
Our next question is going to come from Mark with the Chicago Sun-Times.
Hey, Keith, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Mark?
Good. Is the NFL making any progress in hiring special teams coaches as head coaches? And do you and Dave Tobe, have you ever commiserated about that situation where guys seem to have to be position coaches to get off that stigma of being a special teams guy? Are we getting any closer to guys like yourself, Dave, getting hired as head coaches?
Yeah, you had one this year, obviously, in New York. But I think what happens, even John Harbaugh had to go from special teams in Philly to coaching, I think it was corners in Philly, or safeties, one or the other. But I think he even went to a position before he made the switch over. The thing I think that's misleading is I played both running back. I was a defensive back. I was an outside linebacker. I've played on both sides of the ball all my life. So it's not like I only played special teams since I've been playing football, but I guess people don't see it that way. But obviously it's a quarterback-led league. That's always going to be. It's always going to be that way. But I think we're making some progress, though. Obviously, with the hire this past season with the Giants, I think that was huge.
A reminder to all media, we ask that you please have your full name and affiliation in your Zoom name. If you do not currently have that, please exit the Zoom, edit your name, and re-enter. Our next question will come from Matt Matera.
Hey, Coach. Congrats on all the success so far this season. I want to talk about the return game a little bit. You've had some changes on kick and punt return, but it's mostly been solidified by Jaden Mickens. How would you assess his play so far? How do you feel about the return game in general? And it looked like last game, the NFC Championship game, he had a couple of returns that really set up the Bucs in a good position offensively.
Yeah, he did a nice job. I think Jaden does a nice job of managing the football game. I think he makes good decisions. He's caught the ball well for us. When it's there, he had, for the most part, he's gotten the yards that were there. He did a really nice job this past week with a 43-yard kickoff return, and had like a 12-yard punt return. But I think he's done a solid job for us. He's done what we've asked him to do, and he also contributes some in the coverage game.
Our next question will be from Anthony Amy.
Hey, Keith, how are you? Can you hear me?
Sure.
All right, great. Congratulations to you. I was with
Thanks.
WSB for forever, covered you in Atlanta, and wish you the best this coming week. So the question's been asked about the coaching cycle, and that topic, of course, I'm sure you'll be asked about it a number of times this week. My question to you is, you've been through that process of interviews for head coaching positions. Based on what we've seen, I believe it's 4 African-American coaches over the past 4 hiring cycles, 4 out of 27 opportunities, if I'm not mistaken. What do you think should change? What would you like to see different about the process based on your experience and based on what we've seen over these last 4 years in particular?
I've probably been out of the cycle of the interviews, probably 3-4 years now. When I was in it, you always wonder, what did you say wrong or what did you do wrong to not get the job, after the interview. So you'd like to get feedback. So that you would, the next time around, maybe you had a better opportunity. So I think that, if anything, from my perspective, I always said, man, that was pretty good. I felt like it was a pretty good interview. And I've been told that it was, that it's a pretty good interview. So you're like, okay, so, all right, give me some feedback. What did I do wrong? You'd love to sit down and say, okay, so what was wrong? Where did I steer you wrong? You know what I mean? So that would be the main question that I would want to ask.
We'll go over to Carlos Santos.
Hey, Coach. What have you done different for the Super Bowl that you usually don't do for a regular season game? And what have you told your players about what it will take from them to help win this game?
I think the biggest thing and I've said this earlier, I want to say, but the biggest thing is this: we don't need anybody to do anything superhuman. Go out there, compete, all right, play your best, all right, your best is good enough, is what I would tell the guys, okay? And that's what we'll sell to them all week long. Whatever it takes, but your best is good enough. What you don't want to do is play outside yourself. When you start talking about, hey, we got to make plays, well, be careful with that, because now you got guys doing stuff that's not what they normally do, and you're going to get yourself in trouble. So I think the biggest thing is this: we've played hard, we've played well to this point. Continue to do that. I think the team that plays harder, longer, and the team that actually it executes better is the team that's going to win.
Our next question will come from Joshua Allen.
Hey, Coach, how are we doing today?
Pretty good.
You've had some great success this year bringing guys up off the practice squad, and then Javon Hagan and Quentin Bell and some of those types, and implementing them right on the special teams units, and they've had good success. Can you just speak to the coaching ability that you've had and the effort level these guys have given you that have been able to put them in successful situations?
Yeah, I got to give the guys a ton of credit. The biggest thing is, just working with them after practice. They've been relentless. I mean, in terms of, hey, coach, stay out with me. We'll go through several drills with the guys, but try to anticipate with all these guys. Hey, the biggest thing I say to them is you never know when you're going to be up. And it's not going to happen when you want it to happen. So let's make sure we prepare every week as if you're actually going to play. So what we do after practice is the guys that were on the scout team will actually execute the same game plan that we just went through with the guys that are going to be up and playing. So I think a lot of just spending time with them, keeping them involved during the week in terms of questions and video, so they're not just sitting in a meeting and well, I'm not up or I'm not playing this week, so I don't need to be pay attention in the meeting. But just trying to keep the guys involved, and a lot of it's come from them, because they stay engaged and they've asked the questions and they've asked for the extra help. So I have to give them a lot of credit.
A reminder to all media: please have your full name and affiliation in order to be considered for a question. We'll go back to Adam Kilgore.
Keith, I'm following up on what I asked before about the diversity of your staff. Obviously for Bruce, he's committed to the idea of like hiring the best person regardless of what they look like. And I wonder, you've known for a long time, what's your sense of sort of that commitment by Bruce, and like why it matters to him, and sort of why it makes the staff, the best staff it can be?
Well, one, because obviously I think you get a lot of different opinions, a lot of different views, age groups as well, that type of stuff. And I think it's important to him because he's trying to give back. He knows that there are a lot of people out there that played for him, and he feels like he owes us that opportunity. And, I think he wants to give back, and I think it does help the staff, from a age group, the diversity, so coming from Kevin and Todd, and Todd McNair, who played, versus coming from me, who actually was a GA and in college and a college coach, and then worked my way back up to the NFL. So there's another perspective. So you've got ex-player opinions, and then you've got a guy that actually came up the traditional way in terms of a coach who did not. I played in college, obviously did not play in the NFL. So I think you get a lot of different views, and in the age groups and the age brackets, that type of stuff. But that's why I think it just all lends to one decision, and obviously BA makes that decision at the end of the day. Hopefully I answered your question.
We'll go over to Nick Jacobs.
Keith, I'm curious for you. You interviewed for the Chiefs head coaching job back in 2013 before Andy got. I'm curious, what was that experience like for you? And what do you remember from that meeting with the Chiefs?
It was it was a great experience. I mean, we interviewed for 4 or 5 hours, and I felt like it was probably my best interview. And so everything about it was I mean, good. We talked personnel, coaching staff, all down the line, philosophy, practice, everything. So I felt like I said, well, you know what? I can't do a better job than what I just did. So, and I felt like, I felt like I had good energy. It's just, it's his decision, obviously as an owner, to make that decision. And, you see that Andy obviously has got, again, the quarterback coaching background, offensive coach, etc. So, and as a special teams coach, you're always going to fight that. But, I felt like I had a good shot. I thought I did a good job.
Our next question will be from Dennis with the Associated Press.
Hi, Keith. Just wanted to ask you about Zach Trinner and the journey he's had to get to this point. Talked about his bouncing around in college and really all teams and tryouts. What has impressed you about him to go from that to this point?
Well, biggest thing is he comes to work every day. He's a grinder. He's blue collar as they come. I love him. Now he let me call him Triner for about 6 months, and then he finally corrected me and told me his name was Triner. But I tell you what, you can't find a better guy that's going to come in and go to work every single day. We've got a practice squad snapper on the roster. He won't let him get a snap during the week. He won't let him get a snap. He's that competitive. He's like, hell no, I ain't losing my job. I said, you're not going to lose your job. But he won't let him get a snap, but he's a competitive kid. He's a grinder. He's earned it, and I'm happy for him.
We'll go over to Mark with the Chicago Sun-Times.
Hey, Keith, what's the difference between seeing Brady when you did in the Super Bowl and being around him now?
Yeah, you ain't lying. Well, I tell you what, he's personable, and I'm glad he's on our side. He's a good person. He's really a good guy. I mean, he's got no reason to remember my name, and he does every day. That's the best. I get, if you associate my association with him. He's obviously a great quarterback and all that type of stuff, but he's a hell of a leader. Does a great job, obviously. I'm glad he's on our side.
Our next question will come from Matt Matera. If you have a question, please raise your hand.
Coach, I don't think we could talk about Bucs special teams without mentioning kicker Ryan Suckup. How important has he been to the team this season with his consistency?
He's a true professional. You can't ask for more. He's committed. He's a true pro. He brings all the other guys along with him, and it's not with his mouth; it's by demonstration. He's a true leader, and he's a serious guy. Takes his profession very serious. He's a pleasure because he's the same guy every day. A true pro. Really a pleasure to be around.
If any media have a question, please raise your hand. We'll go back to Matt.
Coach, another guy that's important to this team is Kevin Minter. He played a big role taking place for Devin White when he was out in the postseason. And he's a special teams captain as well. So what does he mean to you and to the other players for his role on special teams and this whole team in general?
Yeah, tough and smart, that's what you're looking for. But he's consistent, smart guy. I don't know that he has many mental errors through the course of the week. And he's a good example to the players, to the younger guys in terms of how to do things. But he's a physical guy who's smart, and I can't say enough about his leadership on the field with drills, technique, all that type of stuff. He's constantly on the guys. He's involved with them in the meetings. We'll set up some post-practice meetings where I intentionally don't want to be in the meeting, and he's one of the guys in that room that's running those meetings. So he's a big part of what we've done.
We have time for a few more. Our next question will come from Mark Cannizzaro.
Yeah, I just have a little bit of an offbeat question about Tom Moore and just kind of what he brings to you guys, and can you imagine doing what he's doing at his age and still with that kind of energy? If you have any anecdotes or anything like that.
Oh yeah, he's my next door neighbor. My office is right next to his. I see him every morning. He's probably the first one in the building, and I get in at 5:30, and he's already been here. And he always asks me, "Hey, did you bring the afternoon paper with you?" So he's something else. Smart guy. I love him. I mean, I go in and visit with him every day and hope and learn something. You know, that just some way to relate things to the players. How do you teach this? What would Chuck Knowles say about this? You know, I mean, he's just a wealth of knowledge, and I lean on him consistently. You know, he's probably tired of me. So what I do is in the mornings, every now and then, I'll bring him a Starbucks treat. You know what I mean? To try to suck up to him and bleed some information out of him. But you talk about a guy that's got a ton of experience. I mean, I constantly, anytime I go in his office, I've got notepad and pencil, you know, and I'm like, okay, say that again. You know what I mean? And you know, he's just a huge help. He's been tremendous to me, and to our staff and the other coaches, in particular, you know, obviously the younger guys. But he is something, and I would love to do that at his age, to be able to still, you know, to come in and coach. He's going to be in here early every single morning, and he's consistent with it every day. So it's great to be around him.
Our next question will come from Rick Stroud.
Can you hear me, Keith?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Coach, you probably discussed this already and been hopping around, but Bruce Arians said a couple days ago he was ticked off that Byron Leftwich didn't even get an interview, right? And I mean, this is the thing that's been going on with this league. It doesn't make sense. I'm sure he feels the same way about you. He's got great coaches on his staff. So when you guys do you talk about it, is it how what's your best advice for anybody that wants to be a head coach and is African American in this league?
Well, keep plugging. You know, all we can do is to continue to do a great job, be consistent, and you know, from our end or from our side of it, that's all that we can do is control what you're in control of. For me, it's to go do a great job on special teams, and you know whether it's personnel, whether it's, you know, in the off season or whether it's on the field, you know, I've got to do the best that I can do to set it up so that younger guys that come into this league have an opportunity to become special teams coordinators, and then maybe have the opportunity at that time to get a head coaching job or you know, get in that interview process and maybe land a job. But I think the best thing that I can do for anybody else is to do my job and do it well, so that I can at least say, okay, well, here's a guy, he's done it well, and let's give him an opportunity.
Final question will come from Rob Romerhauser.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Rob. I would like to ask you a question about special teams.
Sure.
Some players are offensive players that are included in special teams. Do you still think it's a good idea to have offensive players as on special teams because it can injure the team through runs?
Yeah, I don't think you have a choice. On the 45-man roster, there's only so many guys up and active, so that your receivers and your running backs and your tight ends all have to contribute at some point. I mean, your offensive line is on field goal protection. So I think that's league wide, that everybody has offensive and defensive players on special teams. It's where the team comes together.
Okay, Coach, that's all for today. We appreciate you taking the time.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.